So you've just decided to start playing Trackmania, or are you interested in getting into it, but you think it is too complicated for you? Don't worry, in this video I will guide you through the first hours of the game, as well as share links to other tutorials that will hopefully get you better. All of the features about which I will be talking are free for everyone, unless I state otherwise. That means you will have enough knowledge about the game before purchasing access to additional content. This video is divided into chapters, so you can skip parts that don't apply to you. I will also commonly link to other, more in-depth videos created by me or others, and I highly recommend getting into them if you want to know more about certain topics. Without further ado, let's start by going into the settings. I know it sounds boring, but a few tweaks should really help you in the long run. First, if you are on the PC, you obviously need to choose your input device, which is usually either a keyboard or a controller. Both of these options are perfectly viable and are used in competitive play, so you should pick the one with which you are most familiar. If you have chosen a keyboard, the most important thing to change for now is the bind of the brake button. The game demands that you both press accelerate and brake when drifting, and you should use separate fingers or hands to do that. I personally steer with arrow keys and brake with left shift. Another thing keyboard players could do is set up action keys, which are used to limit your steering radius to even the playing field in comparison to controller users. They are a bit abstract, so you can leave them out for now, or find a more in-depth video about them in the description. For controller users, of which I am a part, I obviously recommend starting by checking your dead zone, especially if you are using an older device. Disabling vibration is a good choice, as it could be artificially tiring for your hands. One very specific feature of Trackmania is the lack of analog brakes and acceleration. This means that no matter how much you press your triggers, pressing them more than halfway through will have the exact same effect. Because of that, it is highly advised to use the face buttons instead of them. Change like this is hard to get used to, that's why I personally use a combination of them. I use triggers to accelerate and drift, while the buttons are for short brake taps. You should set up your graphical options according to your PC specs. There are however a few options that you should look into no matter the performance of your device. This may be just my preference, but motion blur, bloom and lens flares feel distracting to me when driving, so I always turn them off. It is, however, necessary to choose the correct display mode. Using full screen is considered a must in the community, as it greatly improves performance, reduces stuttering and makes the experience much better. I don't use it at the moment, as it doesn't work with Nvidia Shadowplay, which I use to record videos, but I can recommend it based on my usage of it in the previous Trackmania titles. A small note here, the full screen mode can sometimes be disabled after alt-tabbing out of the game. I linked a plugin to combat this in the description if that happens to you. You can also find a more detailed video about performance settings there if you have problems with running the game. Finishing the topic of settings, let's look at some additional features that you can turn on. You can always display world records to see your rank on every track. It should make you see your progress better. You can also make your car transparent when driving in the cockpit view, which can be helpful on some precise maps. The ability to skip the startup scenes and disable spectator modus is also there if you want it. Finally, if you have paid access, you can also disable in-game advertisements in the settings. PC players wanting more quality of life features can download the Openplanet extension platform. Features like a checkpoint counter or input visualizer can be downloaded using it easily. Links to videos about its installation and recommended plugins are available in the description. With that out of the way, let's finally jump into the game. You would most likely start your journey by playing through the training maps, and it's a decent choice as long as you don't focus on getting all the medals. I would suggest leaving that goal for later, as this campaign is pretty dated and serves only as a way to get used to the car on various surfaces. If you get stuck on some maps, don't worry, a lot of them put you in unrealistic situations that you will almost never see in the game. If you are interested in a specific map or want to complete them all later, check out my series about them. It's time to start the actual game by launching the seasonal campaign. As the name suggests, it is swapped out every 3 months, because of which I will have to keep this section pretty vague. The developers divide the campaigns into colors, with every column getting harder and harder. I would recommend starting by getting a clean run on every map of a section, before switching to the next one. After that, let's say after completing the blue maps, you can also go back to the green section and beat your times with a newly gained experience. Even without playing through the Black tracks, which are obviously the hardest, you should be able to start getting your first medals. Try to keep your goals low and strive for the gold or hidden author medals later. Oh yeah, every track has a secret time driven by the creator, and beating it is the highest goal you can have. I try to create tutorials on how to get them for campaign maps, so feel free to check my channel out if you are looking for some tips on how to get them. To get to the level of earning them, however, you will need to learn a few techniques that are crucial to traversing the maps. Did you know that you can press brake midair to stop rotating your car? This technique is called an air brake, and you can use it for flatter landings. A lot of beginners don't even know that you can drift in this game, which can be done by steering fully to one side and pressing gas and brake simultaneously. I will link to my full playlist about techniques like this in the description. You can see the most useful techniques on the screen. After finishing the campaign, the only thing you can do with the free version besides building maps or editing replays is play ranked or royale. These modes can give you a lot of additional playtime and have their own dedicated communities. Royale was designed to be simply fun, and I can recommend it to everyone because of that, while ranked requires some map knowledge and is better suited for those knowing the campaign tracks. At this point, if you want to continue playing more content, you should start thinking about getting a paid subscription. You can see a short summary of features from every tier on the screen, and from my experience, standard access is the best choice. It grants you access to almost every community-made map, as well as online servers. Add to that a daily Cop of the Day competition, played on the best maps from the community, and you have hundreds of hours of content for yourself. If you want to know more details about the individual access tiers, I will link to more info about them in the description. From that point on, I believe you can develop your skill in two ways. Either focus on grinding maps solo, striving to get world records, or compete in online events to gain the consistency required to become a pro. These skills aren't disconnected, so it's good not to neglect one of them, as it could help in developing the other. Online consistency should lower your grinding times, and solo map knowledge is required to play in competitions. I will link to tutorials to help in both of these skills in the description. And well, that's it I guess. You don't really have to obey my tips either. You can do whatever you want in Trackmania, and that's why I love it. Everyone learns the game at their own pace. That's why you shouldn't ask people whether your times are good or not, you're the only one to judge them. If one part of the game starts to bore you, play another. Bored of playing? Start mapping. Or try learning how to edit replays. This will help you not lose interest and stay a part of this amazing community. That's the end of the video. Check out the description or click on the playlist on the screen for more tutorials. Have a nice day.